Okay, hello, Guionne. Thanks for having you here, for taking the time to talk with us. We have a couple of questions for you that we prepared, and the first one is just if you could just introduce yourself to the viewers. Tell us a bit about yourself and about your career so far, where you're from, where you live.
Okay, hi, first of all.
Hi.
Thank you for having me over.
No problem.
So my name is Guionne Leroy, and I've studied animation in La Cambre in Brussels. I studied classical animation for 5 years, and after that I went on to work first a mix of stop motion and CGI, and I got quite lucky to be able to go join big studios right after my school studies, thanks to a CGI film that I did, which at the time was very rare still. So I ended up in California working for Pixar for 3 years, and ended up staying there for a few years, and actually worked on stop motion feature as well for Skellington and Jane Peach. And then after that, got a chance to come back to Europe, but mostly England. Went on to work for Admin for a few years on a Chicken Run stop motion then, and moved on to Switzerland to other stop motion features, and then a bit of everything. And only that went on for about 15 years, mostly 10 on and off. And about 5 years ago, I decided to come back to Belgium and started to work into CGI again after many years of stop motion, because that's what's most available over here, and I wanted to come back to Belgium, so here I am working in Liège, actually, which is my hometown, and that's also where I live.
Awesome. I can imagine. So you left Belgium about 20 years ago when you moved to California.
Yeah.
How was the animation scene changed during that period, like when you left, and if you compare it to how it's now in Belgium, how big of a change is it for you?
It's completely changed, actually. When I left, there was really not much choice if you wanted to work on bigger projects. You had to move, you had to go away, to expatriate yourself either to England or the States, and that's where the bigger projects were. There was no other option. I mean, I know quite a lot of people who stayed and just worked on their own films and just went on to pursue their career in a different way, of course.
Here in Belgium, you mean?
In Belgium, yes, of course. But there was not as much choice by far. So and now I find it's changed a whole lot. It's like a whole more variety of work available, as well as 2D, CGI, a bit of stop motion, short projects, even bigger projects now, which wasn't the case before. So yeah, it's changed enormously.
Yeah, awesome. And how do you look back at your time abroad in the big studios? Would you still like to return to them? Like I imagine Pixar, I'm sure has changed a lot since Toy Story 1 was made over there. How do you look back on your time over there, and would you still like to go back in a way, or?
I look back to it with a lot of fondness, because I had a really, really good time doing that, because it was like another discovering of the culture, bigger projects, very inspiring people, big teams, Anglo-Saxon organized way of working, as opposed to, you know what I mean? But also traveling. I mean, it was great. I loved doing it. I loved doing it, absolutely. But I wouldn't want to go back, because I feel it's the best thing. It's the thing to do when you're young, basically, and because it certainly takes your life over completely, and you don't have a place of your own anymore, and you live for your work, and you have a lot of fun, but it's also exhausting physically, and so it's great to do that for a while, and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't go back to it, definitely.
No, it's a very cool thing that they found you with your short. How did that happen? The connection between you and like Pixar.
It was mostly timing that was the issue, the strike of luck, really, because they were looking for people at the time. They were still very small at Pixar. They were only 3 animators there, apart from John and Andrew Stanton and Pete Docter. So they had to recruit 14 people to work on animated features. And at the time, no student had access to machines to do computer animation. So there was no computer animation outside them. So they basically had to recruit classical animators who they trained. And by chance, the short film I did was shown at the SIGGRAPH festival at the time was Las Vegas, I think. I can't remember where exactly. And they just happened to be there looking for people to recruit, and that's where they saw my short film, and they thought, oh wow, funny that, and they liked it. I mean, hopefully a bit, and that's how they contacted me, because there was just a rare thing basically, and they thought,
yeah.
Here I was, someone who had already tried its hand at CGI, and
awesome.
Contacted me.
And in the same line of thought, I imagine you also hired animators during the last couple of years, or looked around for animators to recruit. What do you look for what makes a good animator for you? What do you look for for instance, a student that comes to a studio with a show reel? What is it you're looking for in their animation that makes them pop out for you?
I usually really look for people who have a strong sense of pose, who understand a good pose, and often I find it's the people who know how to draw that make the best pose, because they know about line and silhouette and how to pose a character, because that's half the work basically. Yeah. And the other half is rhythm. So if someone has a good sense of posing and a good sense of rhythm, basically you've got 80% of your work is potentially there, you know. So that would be my main two things that I like look for, and also sensibility. Someone who obviously enjoys looking for original way of doing things, not just relying on cliches, but trying to find new personal ways of doing things, stuff like that.
Do you see certain trends happening, or certain aspects getting more important over the last couple of years, or how do you feel that animation in Belgium is growing?
Well, it seems to me that it's growing in confidence in a way, there's more and more bigger and bigger projects are coming our way, and seems like we're being taken more seriously, basically, by other countries, by France a lot, but and that's great, because it's building a know-how that can stay here, and maybe luckily we could build on that, and being taken for more seriously by other studios, and being able to grasp projects earlier on, so we could have more input on them, hopefully, other than just getting there at the end of the process and doing just a bit because they managed to find the extra bit of the budget they didn't have and have to spend here, which is most of the time what happens. But it's still it's good that it happens, and it's good that we can develop that, hopefully. It keeps going, it keeps happening.
It keeps growing, yeah.
Growing.
Yeah, as you say, we're gaining a lot of credibility from foreign countries, but most of the time as a co-production partner. So, because I read on your site that you're dreaming to create a kind of creative lab for animators in Belgium. That's your dream. Could you explain it a bit? What do you understand, or how do you see that happening, or how can you visualize it?
I wish I could say I know how I could see it happening. I can't quite yet. I wish, but maybe I will eventually, hopefully. But it's more of a logical wish to see more link between talents and talented people, talented artists, and the the possibility of developing projects from here, basically, instead of waiting for them to come our way. I think there's the whole talents are here, the potential is completely here, but this problem is that studios here are still too small to actually have any kind of development policies, or so they don't invest in development. And it's like, on the other hand, you do have money to make short films, but people who make short films don't. I mean, it's like there's not it's like it's missing a bridge there somehow, you know, between the students and the beautiful work they do, and then the studios who have their own thing going and are not actually particularly looking that much for internal, for talents from within the country, and look.
So you're missing original content made from people in the country, yeah, that will be made inside our studios as well.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I wish there was a place where people were given a chance to develop ideas, basically.
Yeah.
You know, that could end up being developed into a full-blown project, basically. That's what big studios do, because they have the money and they have the budget to do that. And here we don't. Maybe we could find another way of doing that ourselves. That was the idea, basically.
Yeah. It could be the next step for the studios in Belgium, in a way, because like we're stepping up and we're getting bigger projects, and we're showing that we're capable of making them. So as you say, it would be nice, and I think a lot of people are yearning to it as well, to start making their own films, and I think a lot of studios have already proven that they're worthy and that they're capable of finishing a project. So it would be cool if they would be there at the beginning as well, and maybe even the creators of the projects, of the films.
Yeah, so some studios that do that a bit. You know, it's starting. But I don't know also the difficulty is that all those small studios are competitors at the moment. And, I don't know quite how that could work out.
Do you see yourself making as an author, like for shorts or for a project series, or do you see yourself more as a supporter of another project, as an animator, or like do you see yourself as a writer director, or more as an animator for the next couple of years?
I don't necessarily see myself particularly as a director. I don't have my own project that's ready to push or right now. But eventually, maybe someday. But what I'm missing the most is, in a way, it's a team and people around me who I could develop ideas with, and that's interests me. You know, I'm not interested in developing my own projects in my own room or on my own. I think and I'd be even more interested to help other people develop their own as well. I mean, it wouldn't have to be my own project necessarily. I think it's very interesting to help others or participate somehow in the development of other projects, and pull artists together and help them, I don't know, meet other people that they creatively could work with. And because that's kind of what happens. Most projects happen because a few people got together, a graphic artist met a writer, and that turned into a film. But maybe that could be helped a bit.
I had a question from someone from the Facebook group that I forgot to ask. Did you animate the characters in Toy Story 1 with forward kinematics, the legs, for instance, or did you already had IK, inverse kinematics?
There was no IK at the time. It was that hadn't been implemented yet, so everything was FK. Every little contact with the ground was like frame by frame.
Wow. And it must be insane just to preview your animation or to play it back, and
they had a really good playback system.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad, but it was very much frame by frame. No, it was not like there was literally a keyframe every other frame, because you had to control everything. You couldn't really rely on the software.
And was that a bit maybe your experience as a stop motion animator that helped you in that way, you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot from people who worked completely differently,
Of course.
and really learned how to work with the curves directly in the graph editor, and that's not that's something I had to learn. Basically, I wasn't used to working that way, but some people did, and they did beautiful work as well. You know, so it's like a bit of a mixture. There was
Cool.
the frame by frame, and then the interpolation people. They
Okay.
each other.
Awesome.
Two different schools.
You have been working on Asterix the last couple of months, the film?
Yes. Yeah.
If you're allowed to talk about it, but...
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I don't tell about the story, I think that's fine. You know, it's like it was a very, very interesting experience. It's a very beautiful, very sophisticated project. Probably one of the most high-end project I've seen coming this way. So that was exciting.
Cool.
Beautiful story, very artistic, great artistic choices. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting and beautiful project, really. Very challenging technically for a lot of people because it's so complicated. And as so I can only speak for the animation point of view, that it was very interesting to work with the director and the animation director because they were very inspiring people. Actually, they worked for years at Pixar as well, so it's very great to see people bringing that experience back, you know, in a way to Europe, and they were really, really great to work with. Very clear, knew what they wanted, knew what they were doing, and confident. It was a great experience.
Yeah. And do you feel, because I imagine people like from Pixar that worked there last couple of years, they have a very good notion of working on such a large scale within the studio, like the big teams, like that you also experienced probably at Aardman and at Skellington. Is that maybe something that Belgium misses, that experience in a way? Because I never really got to work with such a huge group as you have in the past.
Well, yeah, that's definitely not quite happening yet. That sort of scale.
Yeah.
If only because projects are split up at the moment. You know, like half of it is being done in Paris and the other half in Belgium. First in Charleroi, and then they had to move to Ghent, so that wasn't easy either. So you never really get that sense of one big group, one big team. And that's a shame.
Yeah.
I haven't really quite met that same know-how here yet. Maybe it will happen, but I don't know. It's like the culture is quite different, though. It's like,
the what is different?
The culture.
The culture, yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit better in the Flemish side. I haven't experienced that either. Maybe it does happen more over there, but definitely from in Wallonia, it seems people are more individualistic a bit, and it's hard to make people work together. It really is.
Yeah.
And also, there are some key positions that we just don't seem to have, like people who know how to do that. Like, for example, a really good production director I have yet to meet. I mean, that's a very hard thing to say, but it's... I'm sure it exists. I just haven't met him or her yet. Yeah, it's hard to find a way of making people work together. It's kind of mystery to me as well how it's going to evolve, because on the other hand, so many people would love to be able to work from home. So as well, because that seems to be the way forward somehow. So I don't know, how do you mix the two? It seems like you have the choice. You have to go either way. Either you try to bring everybody together, or you try to find ways of working together but apart.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how things are gonna turn, but it's bound to be interesting anyway. You know,
of course.
Whatever happens,
yeah,
I'm sure we'll get better at it. You know, by doing it.
Yeah. Great. Well, it's good to meet people like you and to hear the stories that inspire us to and take us to the next level, maybe. So, thanks a lot for sharing everything with us.
Thank you.
And I hope we can build towards a better or a stronger animation community in Belgium. Maybe bring some more people together.
Yes.
Thanks again, Guionne, for your time.
Bye.
Salut, bye bye.